Victor.
Hey, Chia, how are you?
Welcome to my new setting. Today I've
This is so
decided
nice.
to go a little more colorful.
Yeah.
And you're really colorful too, Mace.
Well, I've heard that.
I decided it needed to be appropriate for an interview with you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the invitation, and I've been looking forward to it. I mean, I've interviewed you, so it's great that you asked if you could interview me.
Well, it's extremely important that I interview you.
Yes.
Because I feel that your story and what brought you to your story and to where you are is your experience. And it's important that we share all of that with this audience.
True.
Because it's vital information, and I think that a lot of people need to hear it and know it because they're going through a lot of what we went through.
Yeah, you know, I've contemplated on that. You know, it's unfortunate that, you know, we get into this area, you know, because of either yourself or your family member,
Right.
somebody you know very
Right.
dear to you is diagnosed. But then I was thinking back, and even before my wife was diagnosed, how we were involved, because I was speaking to a friend, mutual friend, Shane Griffith, and he has a beautiful idea that he wants to revive. And my wife and I were always involved because of our jobs, our careers, in helping nonprofits, specifically cancer.
Correct.
If you remember back in the heydays,
Yes.
the Susan G. Komen
Yes.
Foundation,
Yes.
and then the annual event that they even had, that it got so big, they had to move it to Biggs Airfield. So I remember thinking back, I remember when we used to get involved with that.
Yes.
And then now it's like when you're sucked into it completely, not just to support it, but be
Right.
part of it, then it's a different perspective.
So let's take this back a little bit, because how you got sucked into this was, and take me to the beginning, was because your wife was diagnosed with breast cancer.
Yes, we were living in Amarillo because job change, and she went up and was living with me. And for a while, she was losing weight. She was losing a lot of weight, and it kind of bothered me. And I would ask her, what's going on, and she, of course, she had other struggles she was dealing with. My wife was dealing with depression. She was adopted.
Okay.
And the way she was told about the adoption kind of affected her through the years, and I think that kind of also always happened. And then, but she also had this dissatisfaction of going to the doctor.
Oh, okay. So you've just hit a multitude of ideas and concepts we need to cover here. So
exactly.
Yes.
So here's a lady
Yes.
who I would classify as well educated.
Correct.
She knew she was worldly. She was a fighter. She didn't. And then she's losing weight, and she was complaining about these ongoing pains in her back, and it seemed to travel.
Okay.
It was in her shoulders, then it was in the middle of her back, and then it was in her lower back. And she didn't want to go to the doctor, so she self-medication, got the Bengay and the Salon Pause and everything. And she would go to work, and the people at work were the ones that kind of convinced her to finally go to the doctor.
Right, because it's hard to be able to face, maybe, I think that's one of the biggest battles for our well-being, is facing the doctor or a prognosis.
Well, she already had a masticated wound, the cancer already, and she was self-medicating herself.
Oh my
I didn't even know.
goodness.
She hid it from me.
Oh my God.
So once she went to the doctor, that's when it all came out. Right away, they said, "Girl, you got to go get a biopsy." And they already had told her, "You're gonna have you have breast cancer."
Correct.
But of course, being doctors, they wanted to know what
Right,
cancer.
what level, what
And
type
exactly.
they needed to get down to the detail.
And she was diagnosed with stage 4 terminal cancer. It was already spread through all her body.
Which is what is the pain that she was feeling.
Correct. And it was already in her spinal cord. It was in her liver, in her lymph nodes. It with her trying to self-medicate herself, you know, she lost time.
Correct, correct. Vital time.
Vital time.
Yes. So, okay, so tell me, because this is really important. So at the moment you realize that she's been diagnosed with a terminal breast cancer, what are you feeling and thinking at that moment?
Shock at 1st. I mean, we were in the. She went to the, she had gone and got the biopsy, and she was waiting, of course, to get the results. So she was not getting any better. So the day we went, it was a Friday, and went to get her results at the breast cancer or at the cancer center,
Yes.
the place in Amarillo. Great people. And so we're sitting there, and my wife starts crying. Tears are just running out of her eyes, and her captain of her
Yes, her oncology team. and
yes,
her,
correct,
her
because they
cancer
get
team.
you a team.
Yes.
Just looked at her and says, "What's wrong with it?" She goes, "I can't stand the pain. I'm sorry." And she just stood up, and the lady just realized, and she knew already the results. She turned to me and she goes, "Take your wife to the hospital emergency. I will call and let them know you're on your way. Take her now."
Wow.
And that went right away.
Wow.
Also, okay.
So you have shock.
So it's shock there.
Yes.
We're still not knowing. They hadn't told us that she was. So then
and the lack of knowledge of what you're dealing with. I mean,
Well,
you've just been thrown into this
I
situation.
thought, like all of us, we think it's something that we're going to give us a pill, they're going to give us a shot, we're going to be laid up for a little bit, and everything is going to be okay. We don't think of the worst.
Right,
Of
right.
of the worst of the worst.
Yes.
So rushed her to emergency. The doctors in. Their main thing was she was in pain. Let's alleviate the pain. Then they started, they ran some tests. They did the blood work, and after about an hour, doctor comes in. I had never seen a grown man with such a grim look in his face.
Yes.
So when he walked in, both my wife and I knew it was not good news. And he just said, I just don't know how to say it, I'm just going to say it. You have stage 4 terminal cancer, and it's all over, it's spread through your whole body. And I remember looking at my wife, and she looked at me, and we both had the same dead stare.
Yes.
We didn't know what to
Yes.
say or what to do. I didn't know whether to go hug her or what. So
I call that the black eye look. It's that look of just sheer fear at that moment. I think that's what engulfs you.
it's like somebody hitting you right in the gut.
Yes.
And the doctor was very nice, and he explained it, and he explained what the immediate procedures or solutions were going to be, and my wife got admitted. But it was hard, and I think it's still hard to decipher, though, when they tell you that.
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
right. That's a whole new journey then you are about to start in your life that you have no idea what's about to happen. So then what happens then? So now you all have to face the whole situation.
Well, it's the
what
part
do
of the
you do
treatment.
immediately? I mean, is there a panic to research to what is it that's happening at that point?
I think what first hits you is what the hell we're gonna do. What now?
Yes.
because you don't know.
Right.
You
right.
don't know what to do.
And you are the caregiver position now.
Yeah, yeah.
You are formally now becoming a caregiver, supporter,
I actually
husband. You're everything right now to this
that
person.
day. I basically became her, like you said, her caregiver.
caregiver,
I
yes.
quit going to work.
Oh my gosh! And then becomes the battles.
And then
nobody even realizes.
exactly.
Yes,
So
yes,
I mean, and work at 1st is we're understanding, we're supportive, and blah blah blah. And then when it gets going, and business is business, and they basically tell you, well, you got to go on FMLA.
Yes.
If people don't know what that is, it's basically the law allows you to take time off.
Correct,
They can't. The
correct.
company cannot fire you.
Correct. It's all the legalities.
Yes,
of
you will
being
continue
diagnosed.
to
Correct.
earn money if you have money coming to you.
And a lot of
i.e.
people don't know their
No,
rights.
they don't know.
They're not up on the education of what your legal rights are, what benefits and health care. Like all of this now becomes your world.
The good thing with us was that both of us had the same insurance, Blue Cross Blue Shield, which was good because we worked for big companies, and of course, big companies usually have good big insurance. I'll tell you, I am very pleased with how her company treated her and handled her. It was, I know, I struggled more with my company than I did with hers.
As a caregiver,
as
yes.
a caregiver,
Yes.
so basically, I mean, she was diagnosed the first part of April, and I earned a check for about maybe a month more, and that was it.
Wow.
And
Yes.
then I had to dig into our savings,
Savings.
But that was the thing. And then dealing with some very harsh treatment.
Right. Right. Yes.
That was the hard thing.
Yes.
And then trying to figure out now what.
Right. Because as a caregiver,
Because there's more
you're
than now.
not
There's a lot of
taught.
now whats.
Yes, you're not given a book or a manual to any of this, so you're learning as you go.
Yes.
Basically, and I think that's what a lot of people are thrown into is a whole new world that they're not expecting, and that's
No.
scary. That is really really scary, and so I think that's why providing educational tools for people to be able to access immediately, I think, is so important.
And I think one of the things I did learn is that there is support out there. I mean, your first concern is, of course, well, what do I need to do to fight this? All right, you're fighting it. But then you realize you're going to need support in other areas.
Because now, though, you've also got the challenge. Well, I know for us it was huge. Is now you've got to tell the family and your friends. You know, which becomes another group of support. But what kind of support are they?
Yeah.
Or can they be? I guess that's what.
And it wasn't. And I'll tell you the unfortunate thing that my wife did. She shut herself out from the rest of the world.
Right.
It helped that we lived in Amarillo and there was nobody there. First person she contacted was, of course, her mom, her family.
Right.
And of course, everybody's response is, what do you need? What are you going to do? And then it's the 101 questions. And I think that's what my wife started hating more. She says, I could deal. She used to tell me,
Yes.
I could deal
Yes.
with the bullshit and the crap that I have to go with. But one thing I can't stand is the same question from everybody.
Everybody.
How are you doing? Are you okay?
Yeah. And people
What
don't
are they telling
realize
you?
that. They think they're being helped, right?
And you remember, it's you, one person, but then multiply that by 20,
Yes.
30 people.
And they're just worried and concerned and panicked, and they're really not being helped, or they're not even saying the right things, which is really more important than people realize, is being able to support and say the right things.
Yeah, so basically my wife just shut herself from the world, said, you deal with them. And I did. I had to deal with
Gosh, that was the other. That's the other hat you had to wear.
it. I had to. I
You
had to
deal
deal.
with
I had to deal.
everybody.
I had to skip. Of course, I had support from the Baptist. What I'm trying to remember. It's BSC.
Like a support group.
It
through
well,
the
it's the
Baptist
church, the hospital,
Oh, okay, wonderful.
and they have
Okay.
it was a big. I mean, it's a big complex,
So support groups is something you would advocate to look for support.
and that was good
groups.
that I got support. You know, I had the lady that would call me.
Okay.
You know, she would check up on me. How are you, Victor? How's Sandy doing? Because she knew that my wife was not gonna call. How's she doing? How's she doing? Okay, you got another. You got this coming up. You gotta go because what my wife spent a week in the hospital. Once they got her pain managed through medication,
Right.
but they also immediately started her on radiation,
Right. Right. Yeah.
and we didn't realize how draining that is. It basically would suck
Yes.
her energy out. And it was every day at 3 o'clock, and she was scheduled to have 10 treatments. So she had the first, say, 7, and then they released her. Then they put her on the fentanyl patch,
Okay.
which is, of course, the medication to control her pain.
Correct.
And then all the other medications she had to take. Sent her home, and I was taking care of her, and I would take her every day, to the treatment. And then the next step was for her to get set up for a catheter,
Okay.
which was the next step for the chemo.
Okay. Yes, you're right.
So she had basically gone through the last radiation, and it was really draining her. And then so we took her to the to get the catheter set up, and that was her breaking point.
Right. So emotionally, this has just drained her.
And I think reality hit her. And you have to understand, and I know you've gone through this, there's a lot of downtime where you're laying there, sitting there
Thinking.
by yourself,
Yes.
thinking,
Correct. Yes.
what am I going to do? What is my step? What?
Yes.
It's a big what.
A lot of questions. I
Yeah.
think the why me question.
Correct.
comes
And,
up.
and my wife and I, we did some talking, and I think she knew that the brevity of this, this was
Yeah.
the big, like they say, the big C. And so we're there at the doctor's office, and she was struggling. It was hard for her even to get into my vehicle for me to take her
Right.
to the doctor, and then to get out, and then to walk, and then
So she had been living in this pain secretly,
for years.
not addressing.
No, for years.
Oh my gosh, that I just want to scream to the world and say, take care of
And
yourself.
this was an
Listen
educated
to your
woman.
body. Yes,
An
yes.
educated woman. She even
I
asked
agree.
the doctor, the oncology doctor, if I had changed and addressed this earlier, would I be in this situation?
Oh my gosh.
And the doctor's like, I can't answer that. Maybe yes, maybe no.
Right, right. Who's to say?
Who's to?
Who's
Yeah,
to
like
say?
you said, who's to say
Where?
what condition you were in, or and she did say you have a very aggressive strain of cancer. Don't ask me what it was. It
No,
had an
no.
ugly name as it is. It was hard for it to say it, but the doctor said, this is a very aggressive cancer.
But as we go through this whole chapter in our lives now, we really do advocate prevention and early detection.
Yes.
I think that now
And
you
that's
and I have seen that.
and I'm very for it, and I think we think we're educated and we're smart and everything. We're really not.
No, not when
You
it comes
know?
to cancer. Nobody gives
No,
us
or
a book.
or when it comes to go to the doctor, just go
Yes,
to
yes,
the doctor.
yes,
Annual checkups.
Follow up.
We probably treat our pets better than we treat ourselves.
That's a
we
whole
know
nother
we know when
interview,
we
yes.
have to take our pets to an
Yeah.
annual visit. Why can't we do it ourselves?
Absolutely, very important. And I know it's scary, but to face it kind of head on. I think that fear is what we have to just face head on.
Well, she decided there and then she wasn't going to go through it. She was not going to go through chemo. She got angry, started cussing at the nurse because things weren't going well. And she says, that's it. Call the doctor. So the doctor came in, and she basically told the doctor straight out, if I do chemo, will I survive? And she said, possibly not.
Right.
Possibly yes. You know, always that open-ended.
Yes.
And she goes, no, that's not what I'm asking you.
Yes.
Will it make me better?
She's weighing out her
Yeah,
options.
she was waiting out. And then she knew. But she wanted to hear it from somebody. And she says, look, Miss Nevares, there's no guarantee. This is a step we're recommending so you can at least attack the cancer.
Correct.
And hopefully have a quality of life, whether it's short or long term.
Correct.
We never know.
Correct.
This is, and it really is. Sometimes it's a guessing game. It's a guessing game on the patient's part, and it's an educated guessing game on the doctor's part.
And we've seen both. I think we've seen both. We've seen both outcomes.
And she basically told the doctor right there and then, well, if that's the case, if you cannot give me a guarantee, and then she goes, I'd rather just deal with it, go home, give me the drugs, and I'll let time go. And that's what happened.
Wow.
I'm like, okay. She says, let's go. She got up and we walked out. And I, after we got home, and on the way, I go, okay. I go, you need to help me here.
Yes.
I go, I'm supportive of you. Whatever you decide, I'll back you up. But we just can't go home. What do you want me to do? You know, I mean, she goes, well, you figure it out. I mean, she was angry. She was angry at the world. She was angry at everything. So I called the captain, our cancer captain, and she basically told me, look, she's not the first and she's not the last that have decided this. So basically she was placed on hospice.
Okay.
Not we're going to a hospice. Basically, hospice came to us. They met with my wife. They explained the consequences and the legalities involved. So basically, they are involved because they still had to control her medication.
Correct.
So we had a nurse that first started visiting her once a week, checking up on her, cleaning her wound and everything, teaching me how to do it when they weren't around. And then it was twice a week. Then it was 3 times a week. And got to the point it was every day.
And this period of time was how long?
3 months.
3 months from that day.
That day to her passing. I mean, and when I called and I talked to the captain, and I asked her, if my wife, now that my wife decided to this and she doesn't get in, how long will it be? And she goes, 3 months. And it was 3 months. She goes, she has it's aggressive right now, and she's, you know, she's not taking anything to fight it. All she's taking is to alleviate the pain.
Right.
She lost her desire to eat.
Oh, so no, she wasn't nutrition.
No nutrition, very little fluid. Then it became difficult, you know, and my wife was very strong-minded, strong-willed. And she didn't want a wheelchair. She didn't want a catheter. She didn't want a bedpan. Forget that. She wanted to bathe herself. But it got to the point where we couldn't do it anymore.
Well, she wanted her dignity for as long as she possibly could have it, yes.
Yeah.
So she was super strong, super duper strong.
But it was an eye-opening experience that I don't wish on anybody.
Right.
But it did open my eyes to this situation.
Which is what
With
leads
people,
you to where you are
to
now.
where I'm at,
Yes.
you know.
And tell us now a little bit about where this journey has now brought you to today.
Well, at first, I wanted to do, okay, I'll do a golf tournament or I'll do something in her honor. So it's because that's what she used to do. She was very involved in the Susan G. Komen Foundation, the Child Crisis Center. Very, very involved because of her job and just her desire to be around kids and people. So she always gave. So I figured, okay. But then I really didn't, I confided in a few people, what should I do? And they're like, well, do this, try this. So it was not easy. And then after, and she passed away June 15th, 2019. Came back to El Paso, redoing my life.
Because you have to start a life
I had
again.
to. I mean, I left my job.
Yes, it's
I had to
something-
basically. I ended up and tell them I'll cut a deal with you. They couldn't move forward, and neither could I. So basically, I told them I'll resign, but give me a little bit of help.
Right.
So they gave me some severance
Okay.
pay, and that helped me. And then, of course, luckily we had some savings. But then I came back to El Paso to figure out my life now. And I knew at my age there was nowhere they were going to hire an old guy. So I started my self-employed, and then I was getting going and things were going great. And then COVID hit.
Oh, yes.
So that threw everything out of the book.
Another health
thing.
issue, correct? Yes.
But it also opened the door, because that's when the light bulb went on about social media. And that's where I decided, okay, first it was me. I created my own image. I created Vago. And I started doing a live, and I started doing the friending thing, and it just grew. It just got her crazy. And I met a friend, Paloma, and we started doing crazy things. But then Paloma, because of what she used to do in helping people, was contacted by people who needed help with cancer, little kids.
Yes.
And she started, bringing that to me, and that's when I decided, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to help, but through social media.
And so out of that, you created
I created Wednesday Warriors. Correct.
And Wednesday Warriors truly is a wonderful outreach for support.
Well, I think it is now. I think there was some growing pains. First, when we came on, my first guest was Jessica Bustamante Soto, who was an eye-opener for me. Because here's a lady, the lady I admired first, who was my friend, my wife, who was a tough lady, but then she didn't fight. Okay?
Yeah.
It kind of, there was we met
Very
this
interesting.
this lady. We were looking for a house in Amarillo, and the realtor we were dealing with, Diana, beautiful lady, she confided in us that she was fighting cancer. And my wife and I were like, wow, how can we help you? And we saw her struggles, and sometimes she couldn't meet with us, only deal with us over the phone because she was helping us. So then she was in remission. And then when she found out Sandy got cancer, she wanted to help Sandy. But Sandy said no. And then Sandy decided what to do. It bothered her. And I know, and I think when I met Jessica, it's like, wow, what a difference.
Because Jessica was a fighter.
She was a fighter. She was told she was a 3-time cancer survivor. Okay, she was told she had a year to live. She lived 8 years.
Wow.
But this is a lady who dedicated her life. And she told me why. Because her life depended on it to fight cancer.
Absolutely. Well said. Absolutely.
She goes, I'm dedicating my life to fight cancer because cancer is killing me.
Yes.
And it struck the hell out of me. And I'm like, wow. I mean, she turned her life around. She researched it.
Yes.
She went through the chemo.
Right. Right. She did
She
everything
did the
medically.
chemo. She did the traditional thing. Not once, not twice, 3 times. She was a 3-time cancer survivor.
Correct.
So she finally developed a strategy of, I'm not going to beat this entirely. I'm going to beat it to where I can live.
Okay. Very great. Well said. Good concept.
But there's a lot of moving parts here.
Right. But it gives a glimmer of hope when you start to put that perspective into your life of survival.
And because, we did the show from my house. And before we get started, I, like everybody, can I have you anything to eat or drink? And she goes, no, I carry my own stuff, honey, but because if I eat anything you give me, it'll kill me. I'm like, what the Jessica, I'm not going to go. I don't want to hurt you. She goes,
but
she goes, that's how she goes.
She
goes, I need to tell you that. And I need to tell people that because what you eat
is what you are. Exactly. Yes.
It could kill you.
It can kill you.
And she told me sugar is cancer's friend.
It's the magnet. Absolutely.
I couldn't believe that. I mean, she opened my eyes. And then, so I started Wednesday Warriors. She was my first guest. And that was an eye-opening. So we moved forward. Then my next guest was this young lady who was pregnant at the time, but had lost her second daughter.
To cancer?
To cancer, Mia.
Oh my gosh.
And it was probably one of the hardest interviews I've ever done. I literally cried the whole freaking hour.
Yes.
Because who doesn't?
Yeah, no, and as a parent, oh my gosh, it's one thing to, yes. That for me, it's the hardest thing to tell my mom. Oh my gosh, I think we drew straws. The whole family drew straws because that's, I think, one of the hardest people to have to tell. So I can't even imagine the perspective of a parent.
But that opened my eyes, though. I didn't want Wednesday Warriors to become a tissue tearjerker show. That's not my intention. I want people to learn or to at least have a resource, an outlet that supports them.
Absolutely.
That's my goal.
Absolutely.
I feel sorry and I grieve for me and my wife's family and everybody else, because this is an ugly disease. And even worse, when you see it in children is what bothers me the most.
Correct.
Here are innocent kids, innocent angels who haven't even experienced life.
Yes.
And they have to deal with it.
And sometimes they're the strongest.
That's true.
They truly have spirits, just amazing.
And I met a few kids like that, but I decided and I struggled. How can I do this? And I had a deja vu, I had I think, whatever you want to call it. And I finally decided, in order for me to help people, I had to do a better job.
Because our purpose here is to be able to plant a seed to help others.
Correct.
And we have to really pound the ground on this because it's a life-changing experience, down to your mental health, your nutrition, your support group. I mean, there's just so many. Your financial.
Everything.
Yes, there's just so much that is encompassed in this whole experience that I want to be able to scream out to the world with you. How can we help you? And this is what we've learned, and we want to share that with the world.
And then also hearing people, it bothers me that I love El Paso. I've lived out of El Paso twice already. I've traveled a lot and I've worked out of El Paso, but I come back to El Paso. This is my home, my family, my friends. This is my enjoyment. And it would bother me when I heard where people had to go, and you had to deal with it, go out of town to get treatment.
Correct.
Jessica, because of the treatment she decided to do later on in her life, she
ended
decided
up
to
in
go
Colorado.
holistic. She went
Correct.
to Colorado because cannabis is legal there. You ended up going to Houston because
yes.
MD Anderson.
Correct.
And I've heard of a lot of other people that had done that. And then with Mia, her parents took her to Dallas, to Fort Worth,
Right.
because different areas
treatments,
specialize in different
doctors.
things.
Correct.
And that's one of the things that I've been picking your brain about this. What do we have here? Do we have that here? And why, if we do, why don't we know about it?
Correct. Yeah.
So those are the things, and those are the things I want to open up to the followers of Wednesday Warriors.
Yes. And I think that your research too is for the survival of everyone, because I think that it is important to start teaching a lot of the messages that Jessica had on nutrition. And I think she was on fire. And
She
this
was
is a
on it.
community that needs to really step it up a notch in health. We need to start watching what we're eating and avoid that fast food decision. We need to make better decisions.
Yes.
in
The
our
candy.
lives.
The
no
candy,
no
no-
burritos. It's time to start making better decisions. Is there a couple of things that you have changed in your life personally?
Yes.
In this journey that you have taken?
Eating.
Eating, right?
Eating is the main thing. Because before my wife got diagnosed, I got diagnosed with diabetes.
So it
I have
affects
sti-
the whole family.
That's
So
the whole family. And then
whole
they found
family's
that out with
affected
her
by
when she went to the hospital. She told me, I think I had diabetes. And then when she went in, sure enough. So on
Yeah.
top of her, they were pricking her every four times a day.
Yes.
You know, and all that. But then the one that made me really, this last, how can I say it, journey with Jessica. Paloma had mentioned to me, Jessica's not doing well. She's, because they would keep in constant communication. And I did. I interviewed her various times. She's an author. She did COVID, the Cancer Void.
Cancer Void.
And I'm going to be pushing it a lot in Wednesday Warriors. That part, Cancer Void, is more for your spiritual. How to handle with it, what you need to do, the changes that you need to do. Spiritually, mentally, nutrition-wise, everything, and how that affects you and what you need to do. Jessica, like many of us, when this happens, we turn to our religion.
Correct.
For support or answers,
Yes,
or whatever you want to do. But then one thing that I realized in this last time when I was lucky enough to get the two of you to talk together is I want to be the carrier of her torch in regards to better nutrition.
Okay.
Okay, because I'm learning from it still.
That's the challenge then.
That's the challenge. So what I started doing is I started liking and following as many pages or people that deal in that. So I'm not an expert. I just want to be a know-it-all.
But you can certainly provide
Yes.
expert words, right? That is
So
what we're here for.
I'm trying to do is make Wednesday Warriors. It's basically a group page.
Yes. Okay.
You can post. Anybody can post on
So
it.
it is an avenue of support.
It's an avenue of support and outreach. If you want, if you need something,
Yes.
ask.
Absolutely.
I'm having problems finding this. Where can I go? I could answer, but maybe the followers could answer.
Right.
And then, I'm pushing on the different nutrition. Eating healthy is the easiest thing you can do.
And the resources in our community. I think we need to really bring that to light. I think we should research it, bring it to light, and
There
make
is
it
a few.
accessible. We need to make that
You know
known.
what? You know, like I'm talking back, remember Susan Komen Foundation, and then that went away. And then when I came back and I go, well, what's around here? I know I used to go to BSC in Amarillo. They had a great support group. And then that's how I started doing research. It's the Rio Grande Cancer Foundation.
Wonderful.
The American
wonderful
Cancer Foundation here. There's an office here. So there's plenty. There's not plenty, but there are even the hospitals themselves. Okay, El Paso Children's Hospital, UMC, Providence. You know, they all have
And we're
support
in a
groups.
border region. I mean, we really do have a huge responsibility here on the border for everybody in this area, nationally and internationally. So there better be some good doctors here and resources. This needs to be a great hub.
Well, El Paso's growing.
Yes.
And when there's growth and people like the doctor that we interviewed.
Yes, wonderful doctor. Yes.
He's from here.
He's came back here.
Came back here. That's
left
what.
and came back.
And
yes.
I think that's what's starting to happen. Is that we're getting that quality of care, the professionals that deal in that quality of care here. Yes, we may have to go to Dallas or to Houston or even to Phoenix, depending what our needs are. But then at the same time, we're starting to find some of that support group, stronger support group here.
Well, and to be able to ask questions and know what questions to ask and have some ideas of what your options are too. That's so empowering when you're going through something like this also. So that's what we want to be able to have on your page is.
And then you know, I'm always gonna be looking for the extended family, the caretakers, not so much the patient. I was not diagnosed with cancer.
Correct.
My wife was, but it affects everybody.
So cancer support is for the spouses. It is for the children.
Exactly.
It's for the family. It's for your friends. Even your friends want to help and they don't even know where to begin. And that's scary because a lot of times we want to help but we don't know what to do to help. So I think support really encompasses a huge amount of people. We're all affected at the end of the day. We're all affected by cancer.
But I think the bottom line though is I think one thing is what I want to try to also do is overcome the fear factor. You know, once you overcome that fear and your eyes open up, then you can become focused on what to do next.
But what do you advocate for that? Because I always say there's the ABCs for mitigating that
Okay,
fear.
well,
so talk to me a little bit about
first is educate yourself on what's going on with you.
education and your own
Learn,
awareness.
find
your
out,
own
because
awareness.
you're gonna start hearing some terms you've never heard before. Even
have a second pair of ears.
correct.
How about a second
always
pair of ears?
have,
Where is
and that's
your
what
second
helped.
pair of ears?
My wife, when
Yes.
I was always there with my wife, and then she would like look at me, and I'd go, "Yes, I'm
So
I'm taking
important.
notes."
Find your second pair of ears.
And they know, you know, they would always direct it to me. But find out what is it that you have.
So
And what is-
really, yes, educate yourself. on it.
Educate yourself, okay? And then secondly, be prepared to change your life in many ways.
Yes. And going back just real quick, I think when you say educate yourself too, though, we have the internet now,
Yes.
but we also have support groups too. We can reach out to others that have been through this experience, which is another great way, right?
You're a great resource. And I'll tell you, people, when I knew you already before.
Right.
And then, when, of course, when I came back, and I'm sitting there one day drinking my coffee, and I see you on TV, I'm like, oh my God. And then you say, I'm a cancer survivor. My jaw, bro. I'm like, what the hell?
Right.
I had to get a hold of you.
Who would have thought
Gia,
that?
what the, when, what?
40 years old. You do not
Yes.
think you're going in
And
for
you
your
were
first
great health?
Yes.
Great
Yeah,
health.
you just, I think sometimes I think I've got to just put out a something about stress in our lives. I think that we really underestimate the power or the danger of stress.
Yes.
And I think that is huge when it comes to dealing with our mind and our body and healing. I think we really need to learn how to manage stress.
Because this is very stressful.
It is stressful.
It's not only on you.
Life is
It's
stressful.
on the whole family.
I think life sometimes is stressful. Sometimes I find a little pattern in my own investigation of non-professionalism that the people I've met with cancer have overcome a trauma in their lives. And I always wonder what that trauma stress created in them, and how ironic that later they ended up with cancer. And yes, there's all different types of cancers and everything, but I always just try to always say, don't stress. Don't stress about it. You know, that don't stress.
We do stress about a lot of things. We stress about everything. And I agree with you. I think it is if somebody overcame something difficult, a loss of a job, even say a loss of a loved one, whether not through, say, cancer or through an accident, or they just ill or whatever, or you lost your job, or you lost whatever. If you know how to deal with adversity, then you're going to be able to. This is a big thing. Yes. I agree.
So I think there's kind of a total healing. It's your nutrition. It's your mind. It's learning all of those. It's a lot. It's a lot. You're right. There's a lot out there that we need to promote and advocate.
And I tell you, I mean, I thought I was already eating good or better because of my diabetes, but then you know, after seeing and now doing more research, I mean, I'm a huge meat eater. I can kill a cow every day and eat it. But then I started to realize, you know, red meat, it's great, but it's not on. It's not on. This is helping you.
So that's going to be on the cheat days.
So, but yeah, you go. You know, I learned to realize is okay once. You know, it's like the doctor said, once a week.
Correct.
And don't go for the porterhouse. Get the 8 ounce.
Yes. I always say a little creativity goes a long way too. I think have fun with it.
But I'm eating more fruit. I'm eating more vegetables.
Wonderful.
I'm actually eating less bread. I really wasn't a candy person, but then I, got away from candy.
Sugars.
But the sugars and little things like that. And then of course, I need to exercise more, but then I enjoy playing golf, and I'm using that as my outlet.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's important. So having things in life that you can look forward to
Correct.
and enjoy. And
Correct.
I think that exercise, is a wonderful way. I think that a lot of times we get paralyzed in our fear.
And that's a great way to release stress.
It's a great way. I think you need to push yourself past that fear and just exercise. Let those endorphins just work their way out and heal. And we've seen great results with
and
exercise.
mental.
Of
mental
course,
stability.
Yes.
I mean, we all have problems. But
so this advice goes for almost any
anything.
Debilitating illness.
And that's one of the things I've started also. I mean, we got to learn from, I just don't, to me, Wednesday Warriors is people who are just fighting. Because of course Wednesday. But we have other diseases out there.
Yes. Yeah.
Diabetes is, I post a lot from the Diabetes Association there. COVID. Believe it or not, COVID is a big factor with cancer. A friend of mine, Peter, his mom.
Yes.
She got diagnosed. She got tested with COVID. Here we are, and it scares the heck out of me because people with cancer have lesser immune system.
Correct. It's
and even though they have the vaccines and everything, I mean, Jessica struggled with it. Jessica struggled with that. She got COVID twice.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's harder for the body to recuperate. So you're dealing with that. So a person with cancer nowadays, you have a lot of struggles you have to deal with.
Absolutely. So ultimately it's the educational component, whether it be from support groups, from the internet, and the nutrition aspect. I mean, there's just a lot of things that need to happen once you,
One of the things that I did pick up on is support groups kind of got put on hold
yes.
because
yes,
the
yes,
support
yes.
groups were meeting
Right.
as a group within COVID.
And then
Kind of
everybody was
affected that.
alone, right?
So that's why I kind of wanted to do, Wednesday Warriors. Because at least it's a social media where you don't have to go out. You can at least go in there and people can comment. And I've seen where maybe it's a window where they can go and vent,
Correct.
Right. And
right.
that's cool.
Or ask questions. Because sometimes we almost need to maybe be anonymous and be with others that understand us. And so I think that is a great way to be able to ask questions through your support group. But I'm glad we have you here today. I want to make sure we don't miss anything. Real quick, I'm going to make sure that I've covered everything with you. Okay, well, what would you tell somebody that is going through this right now? So you've just found out and you know what they're about to go through. What is something positive and encouraging that you could give advice to somebody going through this on your perspective from a caregiver?
It's not the end of the world, first of all. Don't take it as a death sentence. You can't until you learn all the facts first.
Because it can be debilitating for a caregiver.
For a caregiver, yes, it's going to affect the caregiver just as much as the person that has it. Okay, be patient, first of all. Okay, because you're going to be dealing with somebody who's struggling already, so don't be an obstacle of that struggle.
Very good
okay
words. Yes.
I had to bite my tongue and realize it's not about me, it's about my wife. She's the one that's dealing with this. So that's why I left my job.
Yes.
Luckily I did. But then it's like, and you're gonna be the punching bag.
Yes.
You are.
So patience is an
Patience
understatement.
is huge, and don't be mean. It's easy for us to lash back.
Yes.
The tongue is probably much more dangerous than the fist.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And
you have your own pain, and
you have your own pain, and then those are the struggles that my wife and I had. You're talking about two vocal people, and it's tough.
So patience and kindness, kind words, kind tongue. Everything
Correct.
needs to really be patient.
And here, listen.
Great.
Listen.
Great
I think
advice.
it was a blessing in disguise that my wife and I spent a lot of time together, and we talked to each other a lot. We cleared the air, and maybe it's unfortunate that it took that to do that.
So maybe don't even wait that long.
Don't wait that long.
So let things go a little bit. Maybe.
Exactly.
And maybe it's okay not to know everything all the time. Maybe it's okay.
And it's okay to ask other people what they've gone through.
Great advice.
Because we are all different. We learn. I went through a lot of things. And I actually tell people, if you need help, let me know. And I don't just I say it, but then sometimes people, they say it, but they don't mean it.
Yes, absolutely.
I do mean it.
And there's something relieving about talking to someone else who has gone through it.
And you need to get away.
Good advice.
That's one thing that I learned, even because I was with my wife 24/7. Okay, so I was there. My break was when the hospice nurse went over, and she even told me, "You need a break, You need a
need
break.
to get a
She says,
break.
why don't you go, I'm going to be here next week. Go to the supermarket at least.
Right. Oh, did she say go golfing?
No, I couldn't.
Just wondering.
4 hours, I
Just
don't think.
wondering, 'cause,
Yeah, no, I wasn't
know that
golfing much
about
back
you.
then. Yeah, but no, I mean, just get away, get out of the house. Even if you have to, and she even told me, even if you have to get out and walk around
Breathe,
the block,
just breathe.
you need to breathe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because you need to keep your health
correct.
so that you can be.
You have to
a
keep
good
your
support.
sanity, correct.
Absolutely, absolutely. Those
You know,
are very, very
two
good,
people
yeah.
freaking out ain't gonna help.
It's not going to be a positive
No.
thing. Yes. And what would you tell? So this is something, I don't know if you have the answer to this, but it's something I want to address. What would you tell the family and friends that are trying to bring in support? What's something we can say that will help other than just calling all the time?
Don't call. Don't visit all the time. Don't ask the same question over and over. You know, think about what you're going to ask or think of what you're going to say.
Okay.
You know, I think sometimes, I think my wife would have appreciated if somebody just had called and just, hey, you know, like she has a friend, hey, bitch, what's up? You know, how you doing?
Somebody that
you know?
brings a little, like,
Yeah.
humor is healing.
Exactly.
Somebody that could brighten the moment.
Don't
a little,
call to ask me the same thing. How are
Yeah.
you doing?
Yeah.
Are you feeling any better?
Yeah.
What are you struggling? You know, just hey, you know what? Hey, remember I was thinking about when we went and we had lunch over here and we had a trip over here. Brighten the person's day.
Yes, 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 yes.
You know,
Yes.
don't dwell on the
Maybe
obvious.
enlighten them with something a little different and
Correct.
new. So maybe that's the good support. Maybe even, I mean, I'm just talking out loud, but maybe would it have helped you all? Maybe if you would have gotten some wonderful like meals delivered to your door and you didn't have to worry about grocery shopping.
That's a
or-
little, you know, and that one's a little toughy because you know, like my wife, she wasn't even eating, you know.
Right.
So I mean,
And were you eating?
yeah, I was. I mean, but I wasn't eating as much because I
Yes.
didn't have that.
Because you were stressed out.
I was
too.
stressed out,
Yes.
so I didn't even have that desire to eat.
Yes.
I lost I lost weight.
So maybe asking questions as to what they really truly need,
Mm-hmm.
maybe in the situation at hand.
Yes.
I
And
think-
it all depends on the person. I mean, sometimes, I mean, I know that a lot of us are very spiritual minded, religious, you know, and maybe it's calling up and saying a prayer with them. You know, it all depends on, you know, you as an individual, you know that person, you know, try to put yourself in those shoes,
Correct.
you know.
Correct. It's just such a hard subject when it comes to supporting someone else, and we all want to help. We just don't always have the answer.
And it's hard.
So
It's
hard.
There, and honestly, there's not a right answer.
Right. There's not a. We're in pursuit of
Yes.
making this.
It's gonna.
Easier
I'm
for
gonna tell
people.
you, it's gonna make you try harder.
Yes, I think it's
It's gonna make
Right.
you try harder because I know it did me.
absolutely. I mean, looking back, the things I needed were very simple. You know, I just needed maybe somebody to pick up the kids from school.
Exactly.
I needed that so badly.
Or give you a
little
time.
sleep time in the
Yes.
afternoon after radiation. I mean, little simple things that nobody understood.
My wife told me, I just want to sleep.
Yes.
Just leave me alone. I
me
leave her in
heal.
the room.
Just let me
You know, here's the
rest.
remote. You put her on. You know, I'll go and not make noise. I basically getting out of her hair was enough. You know.
Well, I'm so lucky to have you here today.
Thank you.
You are absolutely such a leader and an inspiration for a subject that's really hard to face. And we're learning a lot as we take this journey.
We all are. I'm still learning.
We're still learning.
I have not, and I'm not going to stop learning. You know, I think with my wife, it was a start.
Right.
I've met some beautiful people like you. We renewed our friendship.
Oh, a whole new friendship.
Whole new,
Yes,
different, and then of
absolutely.
course with Jessica Bustamante, and then with Paloma, and some of the people that I've met, you know, and it saddens me that we have all these little young warriors, you know, that we try to help and we try to make their lives comfortable and nice, and then we lose them, you know, and I don't want to stop there, you know, I want to keep going over. It's hard, and I tell my friends, you know, when Jessica passed away, you know, it hurt me. But then the only way I know, and this is another thing, okay? The hardest pill for me to swallow was when people all the same response. My condolences. You know, I'm sorry for you. And what I tell people now is, I'm here to celebrate the life. Celebrate their life. Don't feel bad. Have it live on. My wife told me, I don't want a funeral.
Right.
I don't want to be in the cemetery because nobody's going to go visit me. Because she goes, I don't go visit people, and I know people don't go to the cemetery. I said, okay. She says, I just want to be remembered. Have a party where people are going to enjoy. And I did. I had 2 celebrations of life, one in Amarillo with the friends and family we made down there. And then when I came back, I had 2. One with her family, which was KLAQ people.
Okay.
We had it at Aceitunas. We had a celebration of life there. Our family went, and I invited our families. And then I had a mass for her, which was more for the family.
Correct.
And then we had a get together afterwards. And I'll continue that. I mean, I tell people I don't mourn my wife's passing. I celebrate it. Because I know she's in a better place. She's not in pain.
Correct.
And I want to, I don't feel I need to like really just, keep her name alive. I think I need to keep what she wanted or believed in alive. That's the way you celebrate somebody. And that's the goal that I have with Jessica Bustamante Soto.
And I like how you said you're carrying the torch.
Yes. I'm researching how to live better. Because I know I could live better as a person, mentally, nutritionally, and spiritually. And I look at that, and there's a beautiful, I see this all the time. A healthy body leads to a healthy mind.
Correct.
And then the mind is what controls everything. And it all, after that, it takes, it all falls into place. And that's what I want to be is more carry that torch, have Sandy's vibrant life, and then have Jessica's just beautiful insight. If Jessica had started this new transition earlier in her life,
correct,
I think she would have accomplished her goal. I tell people she didn't lose the battle. Her body gave out.
Yes.
Her body just couldn't take it no more. Her mind was there and everything. And that's what I want to keep going on.
Yes.
You see, like I said, I don't mourn, I celebrate.
And that's what it is. It's a celebration. It is a celebration of life. You're right.
We all could learn from a lot of these people that we've lost.
And I love your words. I really believe that these words are healing for thousands and thousands of people out there looking for that healing, and that are in this situation, that have been here, are going through this, that they can find comfort in your words and a process. I think there's a lot of education you've given us today.
Well, I have a challenge for you.
Okay.
I want you to help me, because you've been there too. And I know that together, we have an insight to this ugly thing, and that we can share with people. And I know that you have this desire and this drive, to help people because of what you went through.
Absolutely.
And I want to be a part of that. And I just challenge you that we keep doing this together.
Okay, I take that challenge on with you because I love your heart.
Thank you.
And I do believe that this passion will hopefully be able to change many lives, because there's nothing that panics me more than the thought that somebody in this world could be hurting from all of this. And if I can give well, I always say I wish I could give hugs to everybody, and I can't, but this is the only thing I know how to do within my power, and I can't do it alone. I will fail alone. So I will take that challenge on with you and hopefully be able to change and better many lives as we go forward.
And I challenge our friends and our followers. You're doing your, Shia Silver Lining,
Shia Silver
you
Lining,
beautiful
yes.
organization. You're helping ladies.
Yes, we have our Grow and Glow.
Yes,
and we're
excellent.
trying to really
and
teach
you're
health
helping
and
people.
wellness.
And then I have, but what I don't have, and I think you don't either, is the feedback.
We need your stories.
Well, not only that,
we need stories and feedback, and
we can
need all
think
of that.
and
Yes.
hope and try and give as much as we can, but are we giving you what you need?
So
if you're not getting what you need from us, tell us.
Tell us, because we are there for
I'm
the
ready.
challenge.
I'm ready.
I love it. I love it. Let's make this the challenge. We want to be able to answer as many questions as anybody needs to be able to get to the next stepping point.
Correct. I didn't think that. I thought that this, with my wife getting cancer, that would be the closest that I would get touched to it. But no. It keeps touching me. Mm-hmm. You'd be surprised. Mm-hmm.
Yes. No, it does. It changes our lives, and I feel that in a weird way, it blessed my life, because when I went to college, I certainly didn't think this was going to be my path, and it is my path. And I am blessed every day to have every single person that I've met just bless my life. And so that is why I'll take this challenge on.
Great.
So thank you for being here today.
No, I love it.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. Like I said, I know we've had a few interviews, but I don't think you and I have had this really nice chit chat.
No, we haven't. That's why this interview is all about you, because I want for your words to be of comfort and help to someone else in this position. And that's why it was so important for me to have you today.
Yeah. I just want to tell people, don't I try to think out of the box, and I try to be different. And don't offer condolences to somebody. Offer them something you really mean. Okay? Ask them, how can I help you celebrate your loved one's passing?
Wonderful words. Greatest words. Those are the greatest words of wisdom.
Instead of feeling sorry,
Yes.
how can I help?
I love it. It's encouraging. It's beautiful. It's hope. It's everything. I appreciate all that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Back at you. Oh, yeah.
Love you, Vago.
Well, thank you. And I
Thank
know
you
we're
for
going to be
joining
doing
us.
great stuff later on. We got other things
Absolutely.
planning.
We have so much coming this year.
lot's happening.
So much coming.
Lots
and we
happening.
really want to be able to continue this journey. So we're taking the challenge,
Yes.
and we're going to give you lots of information. So just keep your eyes
Feedback.
out for everything. Yes.
Feedback. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Definitely.
Bye.